This right here is the Oracle Dual Boiler Espresso machine by Sage or by Breville, depending on where you are in the world. And this is a very highly anticipated machine. So today we're going to take a look at it. We're going to do a demo of it. I'm going to take a quick look under the hood, and I'm going to tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And before we start the video, I should let you know that Sage did send me this model for review for the sake of the video. Let's get started. All right, so as I mentioned, this is the Oracle Dual Boiler. Now, Oracle stands for the fact that it's got an integrated grinder, but one that's got a tamper fan on it. And so what it does is it will grind right into your portafilter, it will distribute, and it will tamp for you. Is that good or bad? More on that later. For sure, it is convenient. Now, one cool thing about this machine is that you can actually turn it on from your app. So if you are stumbling down the stairs in the morning, or if you're even outside of your home and you want to turn this guy on so it's got some time to warm up, you can do that directly from the app.
Very nice.
Now, my app says it's currently offline. Reason is I'm downstairs. I don't have any Wi-Fi reception down here, so I'm gonna have to turn it on myself. But when this is in the kitchen, I can turn it on from the app, even outside of my home. Very cool. And it does take about 5 minutes to warm up. If you give it a few more minutes on top of that, it's even better, but it's already ready to go after 5 minutes. And what it's doing is it is warming up 2 boilers inside. You got a smaller brew boiler in the front, and you've got a larger steam boiler here in the back towards the side. And I think that's pretty well placed. You want that heat away from your beans as far as possible. So if we look at this machine and try to ask ourselves the question, well, where is all that money hidden? It's an expensive machine. It's got 2 boilers, and anytime you have a dual boiler machine, they just simply are expensive. The cheapest one that I know of up until now is the Breville Dual Boiler. It does not include the grinder, and it is the cheapest option for a dual boiler machine. But anyhow, that does increase the price. Now on this guy, you also have the Oracle feature, which is an upgrade that costs a lot of money as well, where it's doing the tamping and the distributing for you. And this guy has their new big fancy screen. Now, whether you levitate towards screens or not, that's kind of your own thing. I'm more of a haptical guy. So for me, it's a little strange that there's only one single button on here, and that's the power button. You don't even have a grind adjustment. Instead, what happens is actually once you choose your grind selection, or if you're switching between drinks like Espresso to Crema, what it's going to do is use a little motor inside the machine, and it's going to adjust the grind automatically. So that's pretty neat, and I would guess that adds the cost as well. It's also got automatic milk steaming, very nice. It's got lights, which I think is really, really cool. It's got 1, 2 lights in the front. It's got 1 in the back as well, so you can see the level of your water in there. It's got a water spout here. Of course, it's got a PID control. You can set up the temperature of your brew in the settings. So that's nice. And you can set it from 86 all the way up to 96. We'll just put it back to 93. And now this really is a machine that can be used by pretty much anybody. And I think that's the target market for Sage Breville in this case, because this is their top of the line model. So if you want to get good coffee, and if you want something fancy, then this is the fanciest, most expensive thing that they have to offer. Let's look a little bit more at the details of the machine. So as I mentioned, you've got a bean hopper on the top. It's removable, which is nice, so that you can get in there and clean the grinder burrs if you want. It's got a nice rubber lip on the lid there, so it closes well. The burrs are a 6-bladed Baratza burr. You can see it says Baratza up here. Recently, Breville has acquired Baratza as a brand. Talking about the grinder burrs, something to get out of the way right away is the fact that this is not really made for light roast beans. I'm not a light roast guy myself, but I've read on the internet that some people are really having issues with the grinder not having the required torque in order to be able to grind light roast because they are really still very hard, those beans. I use like a medium to dark roast. Now we got, for the brew group, a 58mm portafilter, and it's already, very hot. That's a nice feature. This has got, the 2 boilers, plus it's got a heater for the brew group, so that's very nice. Yeah, I mentioned the water spout, and it's got a nice 4-hole steam wand on there, which I'm happy to say in this case works much better than the Oracle Jet in doing the automatic milk frothing. I'll just give you a view all around. So that's what the machine looks like on the side. You probably can hear the fan inside is really loud. So there's a fan in there, and I thought it was sucking the heat away from the processor. Apparently it's a quad-core processor inside. But I don't know, I think it's just trying to remove the heat in general. Maybe it's placed here to remove the heat away from the beans. But anyway, that's the back, and here is the other side. Now, something to mention, I should just use this. See, it's got actually, you can engage a ball roller so that you can move it more easily. It's good for cleaning, very nice. Something I should mention is you don't have to fill up the tank in the back, and you will see it comes with an included water filter. You don't have to do that though. You can fill it right here as well. There's a funnel here that reaches down into the machine and goes directly into the water tank. So it's a pretty convenient machine to use. And on that note, I'd like to give you guys a few impressions from my wife, what she thinks about this machine.
When I walked into the kitchen, I liked the look of it. I like the menu because I'm not a technical person at all. But for me, I didn't need an introduction of my husband. I could easily go through all the menu myself. This is a big plus point. Secondly, I like that it shows me when to refill the water. It's also something I appreciate.
So she does like that she knows how to use the machine. It's intuitive for her. She was also confused a bit by how it works with the grinding. She feels like the spinning before the grinding and then the grinding and the tamping in total takes too long.
What I don't like about the machine is that I thought there was some mistakes going on or something wasn't working properly because it took so much time for start grinding. But it does work, but I need to get used to the fact that it needs more time than I'm used to all of the other Sage machines. They're faster in operating.
She also thinks that the machine is a bit too expensive, and it is really pricey.
Overall, I like it. I think the price is too high. Otherwise, you get a good machine with these con points I pointed out.
But anyway, thank you to my wife for sharing her thoughts. With all of that being said, let's go ahead and do a demo. Alright, so to start off the demo, we're going to do an espresso. And we're going to do it here in the automated mode. I'm using for the beans these Lavazza beans because I do suspect that a lot of people who think about buying this machine, they're probably going to get some kind of beans like this. I do suggest getting beans from your local roaster, though they will be generally better. But anyhow, this is a medium dark roast, pretty easy to grind and easy to get some good crema out of them. So what we're going to do is tear out the scale here, and we're gonna see what we get out. So my values have been ranging quite a bit. I've been actually monitoring this for a couple of weeks. But there, the grinder can be consistent. It can be 18.5, 18.4, 18.5 again. But then you might get an outlier. Like recently I've got a 15.5. or recently I've got 19.0. So it really is kind of like a target weight plus or minus, let's say, 1.5 grams. And that's just how it goes. It is volume based, so what it's doing is it's filling up this portafilter basket up until the top, and when it feels a certain resistance, then it starts tamping and it stops the grinding. So there's going to be some variation there, and that's really the first point I'd like to say. That is, it's a bit of a negative point, but let's just see what we get out here. Now it's tamping. And you get a little ding. All right, so when this comes out, it usually looks fairly clean. There are oftentimes some grounds at the top. Let's see, I got 17.9 out, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I like 18 grams, so. But anyhow, if I just blow it off, then you see I got a nice clean puck there. And we're gonna see what we get out. I'm gonna aim for, if I set this for a custom of in between a single and a double, it's gonna aim for 45 grams out. However, it does also say that if you press the eye, it says that these are approximate shot sizes. And that's something I really wanna stress. I know it's annoying if you pay $3,000 for a machine and you expect 45 grams out and you get 20 or 60 or whatever, but that's kind of a limitation in how these machines are designed. Any machine with a vibratory pump inside, it's just not very accurate because they put the water counter behind the pump directly after the water tank. After the pump has pressurized the water, then it goes in one of two ways. It goes either to the brew group here, or it goes out the outer end of an overpressure valve back into either the drip tray or into the water circuit. So you're not counting all the water. But it doesn't mean you should return your machine. It's just something that you have to deal with anytime you have a vibratory pump machine like this one. Okay, it gave us 36 grams out, so that's what we get. So it was aiming for 45, it gave me 36. Actually, what it gave me was a 1-to-2 ratio, 18 grams in and 36 out. So from that standpoint, pretty good. And that's what the espresso looks like. Cheers. And in my opinion, a very nice extraction. Well balanced. Now this bean is not a super complicated bean. I get a little bit of nougat and I get dark chocolate. That's about what I get, but nice and balanced, not bitter, and certainly not sour either. So that is an espresso shot. Now if you want to experiment though, you can do that as well. To experiment, you can just flip up on the screen, and then you're going to get this black advanced mode. And here what you can do is, if you want, you can change your grinder from auto or volume based to time based. And if you put it on time based, then it should be more consistent if you stay at the same grind and same bean, at least until the beans age. However, for me, automatic, even if it adjusts the volume a bit, it's just more convenient. So anyway, what else you can adjust here is you can decide how long you want the pre-infusion to be. You can let it bloom, and you can stop it when you want. So that's the advanced mode. It also shows you here the pressure, so that's neat. So let's go ahead and make an espresso in advanced mode and see what that looks like. Now, one thing that I like to do between shots is actually purge out the brew group and clean the portafilter a bit. It's easy to do, just double tap that brew button, and you can get that nice and clean. You can do the same thing also for the steam wand. Just double click there. And the same thing on the grinder. So if you make a grinder adjustment, I would suggest going ahead and purging that out, because if you go from small to large or large to small, you do need to do some purging to give the burrs time to be able to adjust properly down to a consistent grind size. Now that's one thing this machine doesn't do, is it doesn't prompt you to do that. And considering how many instructions it gives you, that is a little bit too bad. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what we get here. All right, so that's we got out 19.6. So you see it's a little inconsistent. I used the same basket. I transferred it from the previous portafilter to this one, and this gave me 1.6 grams more. So it's just something that you got to deal with. It's important that you know that, especially when a machine costs that much. Let's have a look and see what the shot looks like. And what I'm going to try to do is demonstrate the pre-infusion and then a stopping for a bloom. Let's see if I can do that. So here we go. Start the shot. I'm gonna press this button again when I start to see some drops come out, and hold it. And now it's blooming. And you can see that the middle is actually populating first and the outer edges before the rest of the basket fills up there. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Alrighty. So 36 seconds, and as you see, it's got a shot timer. I do really appreciate that. So that shot looks even better. You can see a full head of crema on there, dang. And I think that shot, maybe it looks a little better because actually the basket was filled more. 19.6 grams instead of 17.9. My goodness, look at that. That's crazy. That's craziness. Give that a sip. That is a creamy espresso. Very nice. I like it. Still balanced. Still nice dark chocolate. A little bit, maybe just a little bit sweeter this time somehow. But anyhow, pretty delicious. And now I want to talk about what's happening there with the shot. As you saw, the middle filled up first and then the outer edges. So what you're seeing is actually that tamper fan does the distribution and then it tamps, but the middle must be a little softer because it's not making the puck completely at the same density everywhere. I think it's pretty close. I don't see it as a big problem because empirically this shot still tastes good to me, but optically you see that there is an effect there. All right, what we're gonna do next is a coffee crema. And if you made it this far into the video, please do give it a like if you're gaining any value, and also consider subscribing to the video. That way I know that it's a good one and I should do more like it. So, if you've watched my channel before, you know I like to wake up and have a coffee crema. So let's see how to do that. First, we gotta flip down on the screen, and we're gonna move over to coffee crema. So here's something interesting. You'll see there's an animation. Grind is going from 19 up to 24, right? What does it say? It's been changed. It says the grind has been changed for coffee crema. So it's gotten more coarse, but it's not asking me to purge. What I really ought to do is purge. So I'm gonna do that. Just double click. And I found it's about 3 grams or so that gets purged out when you do that. So you can do that once, you can do it twice. In this example, we're gonna do it one time, and let's see what our coffee crema looks like. And now this, by the way, if you're making coffee crema in advanced mode, is why I wouldn't suggest using the timer-based method, and why I think you should still do volume-based. And the reason is because if you're switching grind sizes, that's going to affect the amount of time that the grinder needs to fill up the basket. That is one thing that really confused my wife, by the way, is all that spinning, that and then the grinding, and then the at the end. She was not sure what's going on with the grinder until I explained it to her. So anyway, let's see, what did we get out? 17.1 grams. So you see it does vary. 17.9, 19.6 I think it was, 17.0. That's just how it is. So if we go for a coffee crema, the medium size should aim for 160 milliliters or 160 grams. Let's just see what we end up getting out. I do find that the machine actually does a pretty good job of estimating this time, going from an espresso grind setting to a coffee crema grind setting, because you need it coarser. So that's something I appreciate. It does better than the Jet did. While I'm looking at this coming out nice and hot, that does remind me of another point, and that is you cannot expect this machine to do any cold drinks. So why can the Oracle Jet do cold drinks but this can't? Well, this has got boilers inside, and those boilers are always hot. I mean, I can feel this sucker. It's hot. What do we get? 173.6. So it's about 14 grams over. Pretty close, I would say. Aiming for 160, it hits 174. But I'm pretty satisfied with that. As long as it doesn't fill it up over or have way too little, it's within range. And a nice coffee crema. Let us move on. All right, we're gonna close out the demo here with some milk steaming. And what we're gonna do is do an automatic mode first. So I'm just gonna put that guy in there like so. And let's just move over to cappuccino. I got it set for standard milk, so dairy milk. Temperature 61 degrees Celsius, and microfoam. I think microfoam will set to 5. And let's just see what we get. Yep. So most times that I've tried this, it does a pretty respectable job of making some pretty decent microfoam. And it's nice because you can walk away from the machine, you can do something else. Maybe you're getting the kids' lunches packed, you know, for the day or whatever. And the machine will do that for you. So let's see. Only added 18.5 grams of water to the milk, so not bad for automatically steamed milk. So, able to get a little bit of latte art out of it. Not bad, especially considering that it's an old shot and automated milk. So, definitely not bad right there. Now, I'll also steam one in manual mode and we'll see what that looks like. All right, well, this is a dual boiler after all, so I would be remiss to not show what you can do with the dual boiler. We can do the shot and we can do milk steaming at the same time. And for a contrast, let's just see what it looks like to do it in manual mode. So this milk does look better. Don't know if you can see that, but the milk anyway looks creamier, silkier. There we go. Not the most symmetrical, prettiest latte art, but you can see very creamy. Alrighty, so anyway, on the second one that is manually steamed, you can see that it is way creamier, much silkier milk for sure. Of course, this one is older, but nevertheless, the one that you do manually, you can get it much creamier, silkier. Not the most beautiful symmetric design, but not bad, good contrast anyway. So yeah, that is manual versus automatic milk steaming. Well, at this point in the video, I think we should probably take a look inside, because if you're dropping that kind of cash, you gotta know what's inside, and if something goes wrong, if you can maybe fix it. What I do like is it's pretty easy to get inside. There's just two Phillips screws in the front, relatively easy to access. There's two Torx screws in the back, and already you can take the top off. But I will say this, it is really jumbled full of stuff. Yeah, but anyway, here you go. Alrighty, what do you get on your Oracle Dual Boiler on the inside? Let's take a look-see. Turn this guy on. I don't recommend doing this at home. First thing you're going to see in here is that fan right there. That's going to be running the whole time. This right here is the grinder, and you see that it's got an automatic adjustment on it. We have two different things going on here. One must be an encoder, and one must actually be the gear that turns the grinder. And let's say we're going to switch from 26 down to 20. Then let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see that the gear went ahead and turned the grind adjustment to make it finer. What else have we got going on? Well, this is a dual boiler. So we have the steam boiler right here. Right here we have the brew boiler. We also have two pumps. One is right in the back there, and one is next to it there. When we start an extraction, what happens is that this first pump is the active one for extractions. And what it does is it pumps into the steam boiler. The steam boiler then daisy chains it here, over here into our brew boiler. We have a lot more going on inside. It's not all that easy to determine what everything does, if I'm being completely honest. But here is the exit of the steam boiler. So what we got going on here is when we press steam, it comes out of here, it goes out back through the solenoid, and ends up coming down here. So let's look at that. One more time. Okay. Now, what you're going to notice as far as quality is concerned, we have stainless steel boilers. We have got a PID, the temperature probe on them. This thin little double wire here. And here on the steam boiler on the top. We have a mixture of PTFE lines. So that is Teflon. And the Teflon lines are sometimes also guarded by silicone. Okay, so another interesting thing, of course, is the grinder, which we took a look at before, and here the distributor and tamper. But anyway, guys, that is a look at the inside of the Sage Breville Dual Boiler Oracle. Alright, at this point in the video, let's just end it and let's talk about pros and cons. Let's draw some consequences. So I've had this machine for a little while now. I've been using it every day as my main workhorse, and I like it. It's a nice machine. The fact that it's got 2 boilers allows me to pull a shot and steam at the same time. Do I use that all the time? No, actually, I often forget. But you do have that capability if you want. So if you want to practice latte art, you know, that's more expedient for that. The screen is fine with me. I know some people are really drawn to screens. I don't really care about screens. I prefer something haptic myself. But good steam performance. Even the auto steam works well. Extractions are delicious. So nothing to really worry about there. Drip tray is nice too. It's not a water hog because it's got 2 boilers. It doesn't need to be constantly adjusting the temperature, and therefore you don't need to be flushing water through, and you have less in your tray. That's nice. It's got a little storage in there as well, which is kind of nice. I always appreciate that about Breville. They have a bunch of cool features always that I like. You know, you can move this around for easy cleaning. Also really nice. Fill here from the front. They've thought of a lot of convenient features, but you do have to consider the price. This is a ton of money. Now, as far as negative aspects on this machine, there's really just kind of 2 main things to mention. One is the noise. The fan in the back is audible. It's pretty loud, and I know that's going to bother some people. Second thing is the grinder. So the grinder, my main beef with it is that it's inconsistent in the dose volume. So in the dose weight, I should say, it's going to maybe sometimes have 18.5, 17.0, 20 grams, even with the same bean, same grind setting and everything. There's just a pretty high tolerance there on how it's doing the dosing. That's one thing. Second thing with the grinder is I don't think that it's got enough torque for really light roast beans, just based on what I've read on the internet. And point 3 is, while the distribution is convenient and it's nice and it does the tamping and everything for you, it's not a perfect distribution. You will see that the center is a bit softer, so the extraction starts at the center. It goes then as a donut on the outside, and then the rest comes down. So if that's important to you, then that may be a deal breaker for you. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Sage Breville Oracle Dual Boiler. Thanks so much for sticking around with this really long video. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking, happy espresso drinking. Bye now.